Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm doing a new video today, and I think you guys are going to enjoy this one. We're going to compare all the 87 cars. There's been a lot of discussion around the cars all being the same. They're all different. I've been under the impression they're all different. So this whole thing, we're going to walk through all four of the cars. I'm going to race all four of them. And then we're going to see what really happens here. If they're really the same, if they're all different, what I feel. And then, you know, at the end of the video, if you guys want to leave your comments as to what you guys think, your observations, that sort of thing, I'd love to hear it. So if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and let's get into the video.
Aha! So we're starting with the Buick. Now this is what I'm talking about. Have you seen anything more beautiful? AJ, use the Buick more often. This car, guys, in my personal opinion, is the best car to use on road courses. If you're on a road course in the 87, they always go to at least one a season. Please just once iRacing, make it Nürburgring. I'm not asking for a lot. Anyway, let's get back on track. Unfortunately, I would say that this car is probably the least popular of all the 87s. I don't know why. To me, it feels very stable. Probably the slowest at super speedways. I would rank this one dead last in popularity. Unfortunately, it pains me to say that. Use the Buick, guys. I love it. It's a happy car. Alrighty. AJ, back to you, sir.
Donna, we're going to see how this thing runs for 5 laps, flat out, by myself. And then that way we've got a baseline to compare things to for when we get into the actual race. Now, obviously, our first lap's not going to count here because we just came off the out lap. You know, I'm flying pretty good. We're doing 198. Car feels very stable in the corner. Doesn't feel like it wants to like slide sideways. I can definitely tell that the seating arrangement is different than the Ford that I've been running for quite a while now. You definitely feel closer to the dash. Feels like the front end's shorter. So first lap here, we got a 44.577. I did confirm all the setups are the same between all the 87s for this week at Daytona. So that should not be a problem. I went through quite a bit to make sure all the ride heights, everything matches. So still feeling pretty good. I haven't lifted yet. I think we're probably on pace for a faster lap here. This is with a full load of fuel. So 44.316 on lap. I call it second timed lap, but now this is our baseline. I'm going to do some testing with multiple cars of the same type for each one of these as well. And then we can get an idea on drafting and all of that stuff. I've got some volunteers for that you'll see later on in this video. But so far, I mean, I don't really see an advantage yet to this car at a super speedway. Now, as I test more of the cars, that will probably change. Theoretically, according to iRacing, that shouldn't change, but we'll see. It doesn't seem as jumpy as the Ford, but I haven't tested them back to back yet. But that's just my general feeling as of right this minute. We are starting to slow up, which means our tires are starting to get hot, and I'm starting to have to lift into the corner, which I kind of expected. That's pretty consistent with what the setup is done in the other cars as well. Just be a slower lap for our 5th time lap. Yeah, we're in the 45s because of that. So yeah, overall, that's my initial thoughts on this car. So we're going to go ahead and jump this thing into a race. We're going to see how it does. As a side note, with all of these tests, before I get into the Buick stuff, all the cars were ran at the same race. So we used Daytona as our little, you know, we used Daytona as our test bed. So I used test drive for the opening parts. And then we use the official race in iRacing as our actual tests. So with that being said, setups are all the same all the way across the board. The Buick, on the other hand, it held the bottom real nicely. I thought it didn't feel like it jumped around, but the force feedback did feel higher. It seemed to be more consistent across the race. So with that being said, I would probably put this car at about 2nd, maybe 3rd, somewhere in there. I was really happy with the performance of the car. Didn't seem to come off the corner as hard. But that could just be me driving it. Because it is on, these cars are all on the bias ply model. But overall, really happy with the way it ran. By the end of this, we finished 3rd in this car. I do think with a few more laps, I could have won this race. So I think it works pretty well. And like I said, I'd rank this car 2nd or 3rd, right in there. Now, the next car we're going to go ahead and test here is the Chevy. I ran this car for a long time before I got the Pontiac and then eventually the Ford. So it was interesting to test that back to back with the Buick. As far as this car, it also felt very stable in the corner. It did not hop around with what I'm used to out of one of the other cars that we'll get to. Late run, it gets to where it doesn't want to arc. It feels like it's pushing through the corner, specifically in 1 and 2. It'll push coming off of 4 as well. Overall, fairly happy with this car. I did take a 5th place after running in the back for most of the race. It was a solid all-around feel. It definitely, to me, felt different than the Buick. It had better drive off, but one thing I did notice was on entry, it seemed to get a little loose. But overall, like I said, pretty solid car. I'd probably rank this. It's in that 2nd to 3rd category, probably closer to a 3rd out of all of them.
It's hard to find anybody that dislikes the Monte Carlo. I think it's the most popular car of all of them. I think the Monte Carlo is best for the mile to mile and a half. The Atlantas, the Charlottes, the Dovers. Tracks like that, this car just seems to just arc the corners just beautifully. This is the first 87 I ever bought. I think that it is just the best all-around car, probably, especially if you're just getting into this series. Definitely can't go wrong with the good old Monte. Get in there. Drive it. You won't be disappointed.
Guys, so we're out here in Monte Carlo now after racing the Buick, and we're going to see how this feels around Daytona for 5 laps without anybody around, just like we did the first time, just to rule out any nuances, differences. We use the same iRacing test session based off of the actual iRacing race for this week. So there's no differences in the setup, no differences in the actual weather settings. We're just going to go out and use the same idea for the rest of these 3 cars. So we're going to do 5 laps here, and you know, see what we notice, see what we come up with on times, and just kind of go from there. I expect by lap 5, so when we come to lap 6, the tires should be a little on the hot side. We should start kind of floating a little bit, maybe having to check up a touch. As of right now, to me, it feels, you could almost feel a length difference in the car, specifically in the corners. It feels more planted, but you can tell it doesn't feel like it wants to turn as tight. And I need to check the stats on the wheelbases for each one of these cars, and I'll try to have that somewhere here in the video, just so that way you guys can compare. You know, is there a wheelbase difference in game? Is there not? What are we seeing? So right now our fastest is a 44.3. We were a little faster in the Buick. You know, and is that because of how I'm driving the corner different? Is it, you know, is there a multitude of things that are causing that? I don't know. I can feel those rear tires starting to get a little hot right there on entry. It felt like she wanted to slip. 4.5 on that one. Yeah, definitely wants to slide into the corner more. On entry there into 1, I could feel, you could even hear it a little bit. You can hear those tires starting to make a little bit more noise than what they usually do. Let's see what happens going into 4 here. Yeah, we're getting hot because we're starting to push up in the corner. Didn't really have to lift there. Just a little bit of a quick flip, but 257 on that one. Yep, and that's exactly what I thought was going to happen. She's tight through the corner really bad. I had to lift out quite a bit on that one. Expect this to be somewhere in the 45s would be my guess. I'm going to lift a little more to keep it on the low side here. See where this comes out. It does feel like it wants to sway less on the bumps in the bottom of the corner. But again, to me the Buick felt a little more stable all around the track. So we've got 2 more cars to test. We're gonna go race this one, and we'll see where we go from here.
Hold on for 1 second for me now.
Right now on to the Pontiac. This car I've ran quite a bit. I ran it probably just as much as the Chevy before I got into the Ford. It does seem to run a little bit looser on old tires, so if the setup's a little bit tighter, it does seem to want to either rotate more, or if you've been running up front for quite a while, the rear tires tend to get hot and it wants to slide. Now, is that because of the shorter trunk lid? I don't know. It could have something to do with it. But all around, it felt a lot faster. to me, it almost has that seat of the pants feel when you add performance parts to your car, and it just takes off. So there's that. It does feel a little more stable when you have a car behind you, like closer, especially with a 20-degree spoiler. It tracks a little nicer for longer. That being said, it will get loose, especially once those rears get hot. I did wind up finishing first place with this car. I was really happy with it. We just jumped in, took off. I didn't run at the back and just went for it. So, as far as with my testing, I would put this car right at the top for a super speedway situation. I don't know about it a short track. I think maybe we'll do another video once they go back to Bristol or something, and we'll compare that then.
When they added the Grand Prix, I was super excited. It was really nice to have a fourth car added to the series. Just nice to have that kind of variety. I think AJ is absolutely right when it comes to how the car feels. It gets loose when those back tires get warm a little bit more than the others. Because of that, I think it's a really good short track car. Don't know why, it just feels like it to me. Especially at Martinsville. I had a great success. I had about 4 top 5s at Martinsville. It's a great car. I would say it's probably the second most popular 87. Great short track car. It's a lot of fun. It definitely feels looser, so beware if you drive it.
Hey guys, so here we go. We're in the Pontiac. We're going to throw down about 5 laps, see how this rolls by itself before we jump this thing into a race. So far, this car just feels faster overall. Ooh, that's nice. I really like the way it is rolling through the corner here. I don't feel it jumping in my hands like crazy, so that's good. Feels very smooth. I still suspect by the time we hit our 5th timed lap, I expect it to be a little more interesting as far as the setup. We'll see how that goes here in just a couple of laps. Right now, throw down some laps, see what happens. 44 on the first one, 44.2. If we can get this a little faster this time. Feel it skate coming in. It did feel like that right rear was kind of throwing itself out there, which I kind of come to expect. I expect this lap to be a little bit faster though, because we are at full song at this point. We'll see. It does seem to be able to carve, which is nice. And I don't feel like I have to fight it to do that. Or 3 on that one. 2 more laps. Yeah, I felt the rear slide again on entry. Good. It definitely seems to be just a tick faster by itself. I mean, it's not like lightning fast, but it's enough. We're definitely starting to slow down by ourselves. This should be probably a little bit slower again. Yep, another 1/10 slower. Yeah, she's definitely loose on entry into 1. I can feel the front tires are starting to get hot. Must have kind of plow there in the middle of the corner. Still pretty fast coming off, but definitely losing a little bit of speed down this backstretch at this point. We were 205 into the corner last time around, 204 that time. I could feel it pushing, so we gotta lift a little bit. Do 1 more lap here. This lap I expect to be fully in the 45s, which is what we saw the last time with this car. We did lift a little there on entry, lifted a little bit more there. I don't think we're going to see 204 this time, maybe 203. Yeah, 203 on on corner entry. So you can definitely do flat out in these things, but not for very long. 45 here. Yeah, 45.3. Yeah, so setup's doing exactly what I thought it would do. At this point, we'll go ahead and we'll jump in the car and we'll see how racing goes. Now on to the Ford. This car, I'm just gonna tell you right off the bat, I would put probably fourth right now with the way that I'm feeling and the way that the setup was. The tires do seem like they heat up more, and it is a looser car to me all around. The other thing that I noticed is this car tends to hop a lot. I mean, it felt really weird. I had one of the guys in Discord spotting for me, and they noticed that the tires seem to move a lot more on the Ford than the other cars. And it also felt like it was kind of trying to pitch and rotate on its Z-axis a little bit. And I don't know if it's because it's shorter. I know iRacing says that all the cars are the same length, so theoretically it shouldn't feel any different. But it does to me. It also does seem to, late in a run, you can turn it off corner a lot more, but it also kind of costs you a little bit and drive off because you're kind of sliding that rear end. So that's why I ranked this car fourth. I did finish ninth. It was a higher end split, and I didn't really get to where I could cut through the pack as well. So that's my thought on the Ford there.
Ah, the Thunderbird, also affectionately known as the Thunder Chicken, at least in our community. This car, I would say, is the third most popular of all the 87s. I think that it is best at super speedways. If you take it to Daytona, Talladega, or even, God help you, iRacing Super Speedway, this is your car. I personally consistently see this car near the front at super speedways. I don't know if it's the aerodynamics of it. It always seems to do best at super speedways. So I definitely recommend this car as your super speedway car should you dare to go to the places that call themselves Daytona and Talladega. Good luck and Godspeed.
So here we are, the last car. We're in the Ford. We're going to throw down 5 laps just like we did with everything else. Everything's all the same. And we're going to see what happens. So let's go for a ride. So far, I can tell there is a different twitchiness in the wheel. And I'm feeling these humps in the corner way more than I did with the Pontiac. We're going to see what the speed looks like coming down into turn 3 here. 206 on entry this time around. I don't remember what our entry speed was in the Pontiac the last time, but it definitely felt faster than what I'm feeling out of this Ford right now. So at the line, 44.268. Feel like the Pontiac was faster? I could be wrong. But yeah, when you get this thing down in the humps of the corner, she is bouncing. 206 again this time around. It's higher so far than the Pontiac lap to lap. Let's see what this lap time looks like. Could be a little faster this time too. 349. About the same drop off as the other three. About a tenth every lap. I don't feel it skating on entry into one like I did with the Pontiac, which is interesting. See what our speed is this time going down into 3. 205. It did skate that time on entry into 3, which I did not feel with the other cars. See what it does going down into 1 this time. Down 2/10 that lap. Did feel a little bit of a slide, but it wasn't as exaggerated as in the Pontiac, I feel like there. Definitely more consistent down the backstretch. Almost like the car's definitely faster in a straight line. But I feel like we're losing more time in the corner with it. Even though I feel like I can turn it a bit easier through the corner than the other cars. We're down to 44.7, so we lost another 2/10 on that one. See what this last lap looks like. Now I can feel the tire heat coming in because now the car's plowing through the middle of the corner, which we expected. I think this will be probably around a 45.1, 45.2. See, because I had to let out so much right there. I let out to try to make this corner, but yeah, I can definitely tell that I'm having to turn the car more, but I can get it to turn. Like you see, I just carved it towards that yellow line. See what our last lap looks like here. 45.3, which is kind of what I expected. So let's get this thing into a race, see what we can do with it.
Piedmont Airlines on the bottom, Piedmont Airlines on the top, off of turn number 2. Mitch Hughes in one Piedmont car, Jacob Lane in the other Piedmont car. They've got a lot of money to throw around. And trouble for one of the Piedmont cars.
With that being said, that is the wrap up of my thoughts of the 87s, at least at a super speedway. Like I said, we might do this at a short track at Bristol and see how each car runs there just to give it a good solid baseline. But as far as I can tell, the cars feel different to me. I don't know what you guys think. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Put them down in the comments. You know, is iRacing right? Are these cars the same, or are they vastly different? To me, like I said, they feel very different in various different spots. Call me crazy. Maybe I am. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit that like, and we'll see you on the next video.